Hi, I'm Rocco Staino, and welcome to StoryMakers on KidLit TV. I am delighted to welcome back our very first guest on StoryMakers, Roxie Munro. Welcome back, Roxie.
Thank you.
And we have you back because you have a new book out. It's Masterpiece Mix. You are no stranger to masterpieces because you create a masterpiece every time you create a book. And so you go into your studio and you create a work of art, and this is about creating art.
That's right, and it shows children where they can get their inspiration and how that how you kind of pull together ideas to get something.
This book has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yes. About 15 years ago, I got an idea for a book about an artist, and I did a dummy.
And this is the dummy.
And dummies, for you guys who don't know, is like a little baby book. It's kind of usually in black and white, kind of rough sketches, and you paste it together. I do it with glue and tape. So I made this dummy and I gave it to my editor. Your editor is kind of like your boss or your teacher or your friend. They help you get the book published. And she said, no. And I was shocked. But so she rejected it, and I took the book and I put it into a drawer called Flat Files, and I didn't look at it for 12 years. But then about 2 or 3 years ago, I pulled it out, and I had a new publisher, and I showed it to them, and they're like, yeah, you know, this is a good idea. Could use a little help, which they helped with, and we started working on it.
In Masterpiece Mix, you include portraits and landscapes and figures, animals. You had to select various masterpieces in art in those various categories.
Yes, the idea of the book is that the artist, me, is walking to their studio and they want to do a painting, and you get to the studio and you know how some of you might save pictures you like or posters. Well, the artist saved her favorite pictures in her studio of maybe portraits or landscapes from great galleries, and she looked at those and thought about them, and in the end did a super masterpiece that kind of pulls them all together. So you're inspired often by what you've learned, and you learn in school and museums and looking around and researching. You're inspired by that, and then the thing is you want to take that and put it into your own voice, your own world, and that's what this artist does.
So this is the original artwork. Your original artwork includes artwork from many other artists, doesn't it?
Yes. So this is called a collage. It's where you take other images, and in this case, some of them I pasted on, some of them I cut a hole in this paper and pasted on the back. Each spread, which is 2 pages in the book, is dedicated to a different idea. So this is the portrait idea.
These are portraits. People may know this portrait. That's the first president of the United States, George Washington, by a very famous portrait painter, Gilbert Stuart.
Exactly.
Right? Yes, and if people are visiting Washington, I think this is in the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C.
Actually, it's in the National Gallery of Art, but it's also probably, he did many versions of this.
Oh,
he did
really?
At least 4 different paintings of Washington. So there's probably also one in the National Portrait Gallery.
Some of these are familiar to me. This one right down there is a self-portrait, isn't it? A self-portrait is when an artist looks in the mirror and paints themselves.
Yes, and Van Gogh did 43.
So this actually becomes this in the book. You mentioned that an artist goes into their studio and looks at their canvas and decides, what am I going to paint? And in this book, there is an artist that says, what should I paint? It looks a little like Roxie right there.
Same earrings.
You brought the original artwork of the artist in their studio, right?
This piece is right up here. Then all these are the other pieces in the book with all the, what you call references. So this would be the portrait area. This is the landscapes are here, sports are here, animals are here. All the things that the artist has been studying over the past years, and in this case, all day long.
Are you telling me, Roxie, that every painting that's in the book I can find in this spread?
Yes. So I had to print on very good paper, very high quality print, little teeny weeny paintings of all of them. I actually had to cut it out, and I had to use tweezers to paste on the little teeny ones. Sometimes I cut a hole in the back so you can see possibly that these are pasted underneath. And then some of them I pasted on top and even put little teeny pieces of tape.
Here is a copy of Stubbs' dog, and you printed that out. There he shows up in the drawer of all places.
All the pictures that we saw earlier in the book, we saw a section of animals, a section of portraits, a section of landscapes. All of them are shown when you pull back and you see the whole studio. You realize that they've all been influences for this artist that she's been looking at all day, and they show up in this big picture. This spread is very special to me because when I was trying to think of what to do, including making this book, I thought, well, what did my father tell me? Because I've never forgotten it, and he really did say this. He told his children to do what they really love, and I did. The ending of the book, you find every solitary painting, and this is the view out of the artist's window, and you'll find all those paintings are hidden in here.
Part of the fun of the book is after you read the book, you can go to the back. There's actually a key that shows you where some of the paintings are.
We have the paintings and then more information on each artist.
This is a great way to actually learn about 37 masterpieces, and 38 is Masterpiece Mix. So it was so much fun having you back and learning about the masterpieces, and I can't wait to find out a little more about some of the artwork I'm not familiar with. So, Masterpiece Mix. Remember, until next time, give a kid a book in any format.